Hey, good afternoon, and welcome to this first in the series of live chats via YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm going to begin by taking a look at some of the hashtag content I've been posting to social media for the last several weeks under the topic and discuss basically. I just would like to get some feedback from anybody who's watching or on Twitter engaging. The invitation's still out there. I was doing my best to get in touch with a couple of the um, big name, I guess, influences around the area for having them in this conversation as well via video chat. However, uh, I guess my invitation wasn't sent out early enough, or I was not clear enough as to what my theme was going to be for this discussion. So let me take a look here at some notes and get started with the first question. I guess I can open up. There is a little was a chat dialog box within this, and there's also a Q&A. So if you want to go back at any point, if you are one of the people that I did invite to this live chat, feel free to answer any of the questions that you see in the box. And like I said, I'll do my best to represent the people that I have invited, the foundations, the influences, and whatever else um, topic I'm trying to discuss, because there is a lot of I am held responsible for the content that I do post through YouTube, and they made that clear. Any time that you post something, so I don't want to misspeak as to any causes that are happening. I'll try to keep it in my perspective. So if I do say something that is not exactly in line with what any um, organization is promoting or trying to reach, I know there's lots of legality in posting content to these things, but uh, I guess I'll do my best, like I said, to stay in my lane. Okay. My first question is about how an individual like myself could plug in and do something in their free time with minimal effort and do just to keep their vision on point with whatever they're trying to accomplish in the community. Now, for instance, I am very passionate about keeping, I guess I like to personify myself as a young adult. When I was 12, 13, 14 years old, I wasn't quite working age yet, so I would want to reach out to groups of those groups of teens that maybe are looking to do something positive, can't really be pinned down to any financial obligations because they're not working, and also um, something that would be fun and refreshing for them to focus on throughout the summer. And I went to volunteer match. It's a site online, and they are that's their business. They can fit you to a position that you're interested in volunteering with, and they will they have a whole site built up. And I guess over here in the chat section or the questions, I could type in exactly the page URL that you could visit for finding volunteer match. They're also on They are also on Twitter, I want to say, and let's see. Here we go. I want to see where their URL. I guess I'll get to that in a little bit. Um, I invited them on here, and you should be able to see once I post their volunteer match. There they are. Okay, I posted that to the comment section, and from that page, you should be able to find their find more information about seeking out a position to serve or find out like what you want to do exactly. The next question I have in the discussion I have here in my notes is um, how does the how do these like into like these places, these people, groups of people, they want to just get together and um, organize like a food drive, or they want to do something where it's like a forum, like a public forum. How do these groups go out and sort of keep the costs low if they're going to the cost? I'm thinking, for instance, let's see, the guy that I'm referring to in my thinking was the NBA commissioner. He mentioned in his press release on Saturday or Sunday, I believe, that he was very, he was interested in going to Portland and hosting, maybe a game, a shootout, some sort of specialty event. But a lot of times, um, the places that the locations don't necessarily have the type of accommodations that his team, being his entourage, I guess you could say, they can't hold those people like contain. You can't house and feed and shelter that many people if the town isn't large enough to facilitate an event like that. And I'm wondering how exactly these sorts of venues are. Um, how can I find a venue? Like, okay, let's start small. Let's say I have 12 people that want to stop by and help out with packaging and shipping like stuff overseas to their like like a military thing. Like, say I have like a group of people that just want to, or how do I tell them, okay, if you from this time to this time on this day, I'll be at this place, and you could drop off whatever you're going to, your gift for shipping to, your service members overseas. How does that? How does one arrange that without intruding on the business? Like, say I just want to have a casual thing, like let's go to Panera. Let's meet at a place like outside of Walmart. Or I guess, how does someone do that is what I'm questioning. Is like, I know it would be easiest just to be outdoors at a place like a Walmart or like a Target, like just kind of be in the lobby area. But what if I want to get more intimate and have like a more casual, relaxed setting, like inside, say like tonight? I know here in our area right now, we are looking at temperatures in the, I don't even think it reached, okay, it's just over 10 degrees here. I don't see anybody, trying to go and hang out in front of a store for any sort of fundraiser, maybe in in the upcoming months when it gets a little nicer. But how does one seek out the venues that will allow for sort of uh, like a setting, like bringing in uh, items and uh, just casual gathering, and how does that happen within the within the rules and without interrupting the current, like whatever is going on within that place. Like, I'm not just going to show up at the mall if they have a bunch of people there, vendors, like little vendor things. I'm not going to just show up at the mall and feel safe, I guess, with my group of people dropping off stuff and collecting for whatever um, cause, and then leaving. How do I keep people there and say, okay, well, I know it's here. I'm here with this project, and how do we organize this better? I guess is what I'm trying to get the question out there for that. So if you have any feedback on that whole topic, I just tried to stumble through with my words. Let me know, or where I could read up on something like that. Um, Another goal I have in mind. It's like a goal question. We want to discuss how to keep the costs at a reasonable place. The operational cost, let's say for 1 week, all I'm planning on doing is rallying people together, staying in touch, staying over the phone. We're going to discuss the discussion, and uh, eventually, we're going to make a move towards doing something away from our comfort place. We're going to go out and do this reach out. How do I how do I go ahead and keep that cost aspect lower than how do I keep that cost aspect lower than whatever 20, 30, $40 per function. I'm saying that I want to do um, like, how do I keep the time budget and keep the cost budget lower than just this constant, like, uh, feeding off itself, just in not resulting in much at all? How do we do that as a group? Because it's a lot of money that goes into just the ripping and running of planning. And I want to say, okay, let's see, we're going to go here to Boys and Girls Club on this certain day, and we're going to, this group of people are going to come in there and sit down and have like a discussion with these people and tell them our story. And I mean, is that number one, is that something that they want to hear? Do they want to hear our stories? Are they inspired by what we have to say? Are they, or is it more of a, we're gonna sit through another one of these sort of things? I don't want that to happen. Um, I want to know how to keep the cost low as possible, um, but at the same time, with the least, I guess, least amount of, with if you're working from a zero balance. I think I described this before. If you're working from, well, there's no actual assets going into this, so how can I have something coming out of it? I just want to keep this sort of thing, you know, going in one direction. It's just like, is it an introduction to something else, or is it going to be, um, are we going to figure out a way to put something into this? That's where I'm at with keeping the costs down. If I'm not putting forth like if financially I'm not supporting this thing, how can it run? Or if I don't have a way of sponsors or supporters to come in and help this thing go, it's not going to go anywhere. So that's what I mean. I want to still keep it at a. I'm thinking large, but at the same time, I don't want to think outside of my actual means. And with that in mind, I want to pause this again. Let's see. No, I don't want to pause it again. I guess I'll post more questions about that and be a little bit more specific with the cost effectiveness of um, daily operations and how I'm seeing it. I'm seeing all this happen. I can't put into words though. Like, okay, um, on Saturday, this is gonna be like a word problem, I guess. On Saturday, um, three people show up to they're doing their normal routine. They get together at the coffee shop, or let's say they get together at the YMCA. They do their workout, um, and they're discussing something about volunteering. All right. Now, the cost that has went into this is part of their normal routine. They've already, it's something they already do. But how do we keep this, this vibe going forward? Okay. How does this simple normal interaction transfer onto, okay, these same three people on Saturday morning, they go and do they meet at the gym for their fitness routine, and now one of the people ask, hey, I'm going to do a little bit of volunteer work later on, do you want to help out? This is their time for working out, so the three people have decided, well, maybe one of us can go and the other two can stay behind or go on with their day, because they really don't have a lot of chunk of time devoted to this whole, devoted to doing anything outside of that little specific time frame, but that's their devoted time. How do we change that? Okay, now let's say, okay, these same three people, they're meeting, and instead of, let's let's bring our conversation away from this environment, and let's just chill out. We're going to watch TV, and let's have a discussion about this whole topic of, keeping the costs down and being online. Let's bring that conversation here. So how does that happen? How do you get your the same energy, the same level of participation that you have consistently on a weekly basis, because that's just what you do? And how do you bring that focus to something like this? How do you change the pace a little bit? I'm not sure how to engage people that way. Mm. So that I'm thinking costs as in, like I said, as in time, and as in interaction. A lot of times, if someone is strapped for doing stuff with their, they have to devote a certain amount of time to family. They have to devote a certain amount of time to their work, and sometimes people don't leave time for themselves. So how do we budget that? How do we keep that time focused on how to do an outreach? Like, how do we bring the focus off of um, what we want to be doing versus what we want to be, like, what is making our creature comforts, like what's keeping us comfortable versus what we want to reach out and do for others, and how come the focus is more on this intimate group of uh, us four, when there's a lot more, I guess. I don't know. I even know how else to put that. There's four of us, but there's a whole, community of people. As far as community, I mean, organizations that are in need of our time and our effort and our energy and our what we can provide is, just sometimes if you go some places, just showing up. Like, I could just sit here. I seen a channel a little while ago. There's a person that goes online, and no kidding, he or she, I just looked at the title on there. He's sitting and smiling. So a lot of times just showing up, sitting and smiling is what exposure what the organization may need. Um, let's see. We want to also discuss now within that group of four. Let's reach out and say um, we want to do a summer. Where are we going to put our hormonal, young, intelligent young adults this summer? What are they going to go do? Are they tired of doing the same thing? Are they figuring out that this time? I don't know. I remember when I was growing up. Um, Maybe it was my brothers. Maybe it was other girlfriends I had. We would always discuss, like, well, what if we don't want to go do anything? They have that option now. It's kind of sad. The kids have that option. They don't really have to go anywhere because they have um, the social thing that we didn't have. This whole connection before that. I we didn't have. I mean, it's been around for several years, so I'm dating myself here. This isn't good. I'm not supposed to be dating myself. What I mean is the different interaction that these young adults that we try to impose on them. I guess we want to have our young adults interact with, like, in real person, you know in the same setting. We want these people to interact together. Um, and how do we get this group of people interacting in a positive way, for like a summer volunteer outing? How do we take our hands off a little bit to let them flourish? Uh, what do I need to do? Where do I need to be in order to let somebody else benefit and do the growing up that is for them to do? Uh, Now, I have lots of great ideas for what I would like to impose on groups of young adults, or I don't even have any in mind right now, like any individuals. So I'm just, this is just out there. Uh, I know you guys, you kids and young adults, you're people, and you're full of ideas and energy and opinions, and you're looking for direction and you're great. Um, I'm call me uh, call me whatever, just somebody outside looking in. But how would it be difficult to get a group of 8 to 10 young adults together and visit like an area that needed to have like take a look, for instance, at the Adopt a Highway program. Like, how would a group of young adults go and say, we're going to own this, part of the uh, outdoors. We're going to go and do cleanup efforts. Now, when I say young adults, I don't know if I know that it's easier for um, it seems like it might be easier for like 8 to 10 year olds to buy into something like this. Once I know, once I would reach like an age, sort of like whatever. I'm not like trying to exclude this group of older young adults, but they have more freedoms and they can choose like different whatever is more important for them to do. Um, but it would be really nice to have. Uh, like these like specific planned outreaches for groups of young adults to interact and let's see if we want to, for instance, go and do cleanups, like not super labor intensive activities, but just enough um, just enough to bring out what they want to do, uh, like I mean get away from what they want to do, what they want to get away from. It's so much easier. Like I remember, um, like if I was going over to my friend's house, it would be so much easier to go over to my friend's house and watch them clean and help them clean. And it was so less easy for me to come back to my own room and clean my own room and clean my own place. And that's what I mean by like doing these outreaches and these focuses, and these like specific cleanups and these what did I post it as Field Day Friday events. These Field Day Friday volunteer events would be awesome. There's lots of, and when I think of that, this is going to be, we're coming up on the springtime, so that's garage sale season. Oh man, I can imagine all the, this area, I'm sure, especially since we're kind of moving, we like to move, we need to move for work. I know there's lots of probably people that are, hey, yeah, let's do this. Let's plan a garage sale, or let's do a community yard sale. And like when I think of doing that sort of thing, um, it takes a lot of planning. Number one, it also takes a lot of labor. It's kind of labor intensive, and depending on the elements, if it's super hot out, if it's super cold out, it's going to be, it's going to be work, whether, dealing with elements, dealing with whatever hard to, hard to separate, hard to part with items that the people are trying to relieve themselves of from the moves, or for planning for like a lot of people do before they're getting ready to move, or spring cleaning sort of thing, and furniture. Like some people just like to say, you know what, I'm tired of looking at the furniture I have. Let's put all this stuff in the garage sale or on eBay. And I guess garage sales have evolved even today because, I can say, I'm tired of looking at this, and depending on how tired of looking at it I am, I could say, well, this is going into storage, and from storage, hopefully somebody picks it up from eBay because I'm going to pay 1 month of storage fee, that sort of thing. If it doesn't leave from there within this time frame, and it doesn't get sold, well, I guess I might have to just keep looking at it for a little bit longer, or it's gone. Now I'm not talking about anything in specific, but uh, that's just how we think now as a now society. We want things done now, and it needs to be done. And if it's not done, well, it's going to the garbage. And that's how I'm looking at planning for summer. It's hard to plan for these things because if everybody's not on the same page with like a like for even for the volunteer, that's what I hashtag volunteer, hashtag spring fling, and garage sales, cleaning, yard cleaning, sprucing up, like lawn mowing, and I can't remember the word, yard maintenance sort of thing. Or um, what else is there? Oh, and then of course we've got Easter coming up, so we want to do Easter basket egg hunts for, we want to drive kids crazy because they like candy and Easter egg hunts, and they're like, these little crazy vocal people. They're like, bananas when they see baskets of candy, bright colors, and other people their age. They go bananas. And we want to promote that. We want to promote young people, very small people. We like to see them go bananas. It's a sick pleasure that adults have this power we have over small people, young tiny people. We want to see them go bananas. We like to see them happy and full of excitement and saying crazy things and screaming and running around and just out of control. We like to see that. Um, how do we what are they called? How do we facilitate that madness and keep the cost down? How does the other point, as well as, if we could do like the interaction and the outreach for the field day Friday and garage selling or whatever it ends up being, how do we reward that whole effort by doing like a trip to, like an amusement park? I know here they have amusement parks. I'm sure in lots of places in the country they have amusement parks. Um, how do we do that? Even like make, if we don't have an amusement park in our area, how do we make something special, or like a road trip? Like, how do we get all these people together and say, okay, after we've done, you know, 20 households or 20, all of our, the whole senior center, we've done every, all of their houses. This is outrageous. It's like, oh my gosh, work, work, work. Like, okay, we've done this number of um, cleaning activities. We've done this many activities of um, yard sales. We've met these goals, and how do we keep that as less? How do we keep them engaged in this goal planning sheet that I'm thinking of in my mind? How do we stay engaged in that and not turn that into like a, oh man, seriously? I gotta do all this before I can just go and hang out at the amusement park, or just before we can go and do one other thing. That sort of I don't want to be the thrill kill before the whole thing even happens. But how do we do that? How do we make plans for uh, summer outings? And I know it's hard for someone that is not responsible for other people's children. I'm not going to ask you to say, and I'm not going to ask you to be like, hey, why don't you just drop them all off over here? No, Thank you. I don't think any of us would come out alive. Um, I'm not a babysitter. I'm not good with teenagers because they are not good in a one-on-one extended amount of time with teenagers, like bringing one into the house and letting them hang out and then having a purpose. I'm not trying to exclude this whole thing from happening, but I'm just at the place where I don't think that, I think right now this would be the best way for me to try to reach out and connect. But, like, maybe we should just have a discussion here and talk about this. Maybe you and I could go to, where would you like to go to Taco Bell? I'm kind of like I can go and go and have food, and we can go we can go to the mall and eat at the food court. But I can't take on the whole responsibility as an adult for one teenager. I don't think I can do that just yet. Um, However, if there was a way to bring these people I'm speaking of together, and even we're doing, I just feel like I lost an audience member because I was discussing within my personal contacts on Instagram. I noticed that I was uh, we were kind of pitching back and forth the idea of when the what's it gonna happen, the Insta meet we're doing, like it's like a photo walk. We'll talk more about that later, but I don't want to have lost them in this whole discussion because they're like, hey, we can take on teenagers. All we gotta do is make them work and feed them and put them to bed. Or I could just say, okay, we don't want to diss the we don't want to diss the teens. Uh, so that was basically what I wanted to. How do we plan and how do we budget? How do we plan and how do we budget? And how do we not let the whole some sort of routine and normalcy escape us during these exciting planning events? Like, we want to be excited, but we don't want to go excited to the point where we lose our minds and not have some sort of structure and some sort of boundaries set for whatever is going to happen. Like whatever we're going to do. Then I also noticed there's always like there's always a sort of safety net and investment that goes into the running. That's why I like to follow these running events, because it's a safety net that has a group of people that always participate in these same events together, and it's a whole shindig, a whole thing. You get these you can travel to different places to participate in these. You can if you save up enough money, you can go and you have the whole weekend. You like say it's happening on a Saturday morning, you can do Friday, Saturday, book a overnight stay somewhere, and keep your costs down by having home, like a sharing thing going on. What is that called? There's a site I think I referred to a while ago, like it's not like exactly a house swap, but you sort of say, hey, I'm going to show up here, and I was wondering if there's somewhere I can stay for this amount of time. And you would have to, that would take a lot of planning as well, because you would need to say, um, well, it's going to be me and my 5 running buddies. We're going to go hang out. We need somewhere to stay. And I think if reason, it would be a long shot. I think for if it would be a long shot for 5 people to say, I'm going to go and do this running event. And I need somewhere to stay. And I don't think anybody would actually say, let me go knock on these people's door. I don't know who would actually do that. So I think being, being having enough money to actually take and book a room and stay somewhere that way. Because I like, even for us, to go overnight somewhere it's a nightmare, because this is kind of off topic. It's a nightmare because we have like, if you're traveling with pets, you have people that are like, if somebody was traveling with pets right now, they wanted to come visit us, it would be messy because we would have to have our pets put somewhere else and let their pets go somewhere else, and we're all within the same place, but it would just be messy. So it's always easier to make these sort of plans to um, ahead of time. If somebody I could just imagine now, my like, somebody, like, let's say somebody was on the other side of town and they wanted to come visit, I would, and stay, like an overnight visit, it would be kind of like chaos for a moment, because I'd have to stop and think, like, okay, what are we gonna do with the dogs? Are they allergic to cats? What are we gonna have to eat? Do I need to entertain them? Do they need to have somewhere to sleep? They need to bathe. They need to use the restroom. All these like insane like planning goes into play when even an overnight stay. So it's really nice to have that option to book like an actual turn your staycay into a resort stay sometimes, and that's perfectly logical. And how would we do that with a group of? How would we first have the means and have the relationships and the trust of, like, because if I know, uh, if my I'm gonna go with the most strict people I know. If they weren't open to having me and my gang watch their house, like house sit or pet sit for them, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be like I said, the most strict people I can think of. They're not going to be okay with me taking their young adults on a weekend thing. So just keep in mind that sort of transparency that one would need to establish before um, doing these. And I know there's sites, there's all these different sites that have this sort of information on there. There's a babysitting site that has all this. Maybe I should look that up. I know there's a babysitting site that has they like actually interview. Uh, they have a set of they have a standard they've set for their employees. Therefore, they are going to keep these people. They have checks for that. For you're not going to be able to just say, "Ooh, let me," you know, we don't want the creepy. What did anybody the show Blackish? I'm thinking of, where he wanted his son to interact with some more kids, and he like goes up to the bus stop and there's kids sitting there, and he just says, "Hey, you guys want to come over for some? You guys want to come over for some pie and some cake and some video games?" And kids are kids are standing there like looking at him, checking him out in his car, like, what? What? And he keeps talking or whatever. And like seeing there's a lady on her phone, like she's on her phone, like this guy. And then he's all, lady, you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. Yeah. We don't want any situations like that. So we need to have boundaries and people that are employed that we can validate that are, in this arena. I'm not just going to send my freaking, I won't send my cat overnight to anybody's house because I want to know that I can trust who is taking care of them. Do I need to trust them with my teenagers? Probably more. Okay. Lastly, I wanted to discuss the potential of setting up volunteer or virtual volunteers for maybe some sort of like a gift basketing sort of thing. I know we're doing, um, like I said, we're doing Easter here pretty soon. Like let's do a summer sort of summer thinking. We're thinking of summer. What do people like to do? They like to go to baseball games. They like to go to movies. They like to go do theme parks and these things. And they like to do work. I like to do work. Well, people like to have work done for them. So how do we collaborate this whole effort and these ideas um, for a different for the summer? How do we make it fun? How do we get participation up? How do we keep the costs low? How is there a way for people to better participate in forums like this? Because I shouldn't even, you know, I mean, I know I'm pretty good looking and, I can speak pretty well and, I like to hear what I have to say. And I'm pretty sure that some people may like to hear what I have to say, but I don't think this should be the only, I should do this on a more regular basis and have some actual panelists here, and have some breaks and some pauses in the speaking that I'm doing. It would be a lot easier to engage that way. I don't see me sitting here speaking in real life with a group of individuals. Well, if I was the person with the at the front of the audience, speaking to the crowd, I can see myself in that position where I'm speaking constantly for an hour and a half about whatever I'm speaking about. But in a setting that I would like this sort of to reflect would be a casual setting where, we're just interacting, kind of like hanging out and talking about like with a little bit of structure as far as what our discussion is relating to. And it would be nice to have some participation because I am not able to focus on what I'm saying as well as checking back with Facebook and Twitter and making phone calls. Doing all that while I'm talking is kind of it's distracting and I'm not good at it because I'm not a professional broadcaster and this isn't. I mean, there's lots of professional broadcasters on YouTube. However, I'm not one, and I can't even figure out sometimes how to bring a call into this this right now. Like for instance, I wanted to call like the USAA. Why did I say that? That's not Boys and Girls Club. Wanted to call Boys and Girls Club and say, how could we connect for what kind of people are you looking for? How could we help out? We as in me. I do that. I have a bad habit of saying, I have a bad habit of saying, we would like to help you out. And I even had all this set up before I opened the live discussion. I mean, I guess the easiest way, let's try this. I mean, you're gonna hear like, I'm just gonna try to do it from here. Um, I can never find phone numbers. I can never find phone numbers. It's so bad. Let's see. Awesome. So we've got Joe Anderson here. He's with the YMCA, and I was hoping maybe Joe, you could tell us about what the YMCA offers for summer programs for like youth in the from 10 to, I know they have youth programs from 6 to 20 years old.
Yeah, so we have a pretty wide ranging demographics and things like that. So we have programs. We have a summer camp that starts at age 3 actually, and goes up. Last year was the first year that we ran what we called our leaders in training, and that was for our little bit older kids, more like the 13 to 15 range. We also have counselors in training, which is a volunteer opportunity for kids that are interested in possibly becoming counselors at some point. And then a lot of our other programs, we just kind of have like the old faithful ones, the swim lessons, some of our summer sports, or we have T-ball in the summer, which is 3 to 8 year old kids. We do some different, we're getting ready to host our first race, and that's a little bit prior to the summer. That's going to be held on March 28th.
Oh, cool.
And that's a big volunteer opportunity, but also just trying to make it as much of a family event as possible. So.
Oh, that's cool. So you like to also promote the young adults to not leave their parents at home. That's pretty cool.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
Definitely try to hit the family events pretty big. That summer camp it is drop and go for the parents that need to get to work. But like I said, the 5K that we're hosting, we're also doing an Easter egg hunt, and just trying to make that just a big day for the family to come out and all be together.
Oh, that's so cool. Are you guys promoting any specific hashtag on Twitter or Facebook for your events?
We're not, but that's a fantastic
That's awesome. I hope to be able to get some more confirmation on like these events. So how could somebody get in touch with or like see this for themselves? Like what could I share, a URL or like a Facebook link
Yeah.
or something?
So our website is ymcaswil.org, and that has events for each of our locations. We're an association of 8 branches, so you'll be able to pull up information on all of those local branches. We're also on Facebook. For the event like that race that we're doing, we have a Sign Up Genius page going to kind of get people more in that volunteer mindset.
Awesome. What's that site? Is that through the SWIL dot or the YMCA SWIL page?
Yep,
Okay.
you can pull up all of the links to those additional websites from our YMCA SWIL webpage.
Okay, awesome. I really enjoy speaking with you this afternoon, and I like the YMCA because you are one of the only places here that I can go and swim on Saturdays. I'm not even kidding. I didn't,
Yeah.
I'm not from this area, so finding a swimming pool is just like, yes.
Yes, the pool is a very big draw. So.
Yes, it's very nice. Well, thanks for chatting with me this afternoon.
Absolutely. You have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Yep. Bye.
So that's cool. We've got the YMCA has programs going on throughout the summer. And I guess I do know how to pull in a video call, like a regular phone call to a video. I'm glad that I could pull that one off. I guess the other places, let's see, we did speak about that. We want to post this, I guess maybe in the Q&A, I'll post that. I'll say Q&A. I don't know where to post it. Is it in the chat? No, I would have to post it as a question. I posted the last thought or like mention I was referring to in the comments on the, I think on the event page. So let's go there and post this on the event page. The YMCA SWIL. They have a Facebook page. And let's see. I wonder. And like you said, we can go there and check out what the programs in the area have to offer for summer activities for young adults. And lastly, what kind of needs are there? How do we find out what kind of needs there are for people that are seriously, struggling with like hunger and just essentials like like how do like there's people that are needing like I could care like I'm sure there's people watching this like I could care less about you and you and your balloons and your freaking nice YouTube channel here. How do I find out where I can get from, my power is getting turned off. Like I just got relieved from my employer relieved me. My kid is sick, like these sort of real situations. How do we find support for these sort of places? I mean, these sort of causes, like people in real need, in real situations, in real life. Like I think maybe my setting here isn't really portraying real life, but I'm a real person that has a real real life. I'm not just a volunteer. Um, where is the? I know there's like public. I think if you actually go to, I don't have a listing on my page. I know I did put on for on my Facebook page. I know there was a link that I did share for like there's always there's crisis centers like, and I'm pretty sure that there's lots of there's still a need for individuals to be trained properly for like crisis center kind of calls. And I guess that would go back to the volunteermatch.com post I shared. I could imagine they would have a posting for somebody to respond to crisis calls. I know there. What is that? Isn't there like a Boys Town hotline that they there would be a trained professional or a trained somebody at the other end of that call, and they would be able to answer and say, "Hey, you know, talk with the person through whatever they need to go through, whatever they needed to be to bring them out of whatever is happening." Uh, where is their number? I never pieced that together before. Um, I remember, I'm an infomercial watcher because I'm up at like, I'll be up at like 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. Not like some people are up at 4 o'clock on a Saturday in the morning because they can't go to sleep because they've, been drinking all day or all night and they're just still on that. I'm not really a drinker, so I'll just be up watching TV. I drink coffee. Maybe that's my issue. I'll sit there, I'll be drinking coffee all day. And then I wonder, like, wow, it's like I've had, my last cup of coffee at like 10 o'clock on a Friday night. And I'm sitting here like, why can't I go to sleep? So I'm up till 4 o'clock in the morning watching infomercials. And, it's really bad. I'll sit there and see all the, I feel bad about myself for a little bit because I'll be like, oh man, all these fitness commercials are on. This is lame, man. Or I'll see the serious ones come on, like the crisis calls and the commercials for these sort of informational. Um, and there's people in pain. There's always somebody in pain. There's always somebody in pain in life, in their situation, um, and hurting, and reaching out or needing something. There's some. That's why I combined all this. I should take another look back at the lists. I created a series of lists on my Twitter page for different sorts of what are they called? All these all these causes like at once. Well, I'll get all these ideas at once, and I'll start furiously writing them down, and then like I wrote down a bunch of them, and then I found correlating causes on Twitter that have already been established, and they've already sort of um, they keep us on the same page. So I'm not sitting here like ah. Um, where's it at? I can't get to this because I don't know how to use Twitter. Of course, I'm not that bright. I'll know how to use it if I'm not trying to have a conversation. However, if I'm trying to have a conversation and there's for whatever reason I don't know how to use it, I can't incorporate technology into normal speaking because I'm just not skilled enough, and I don't know why. That's why I told you I need 3 or 4 more panelists sitting here doing social media, keeping me on point with the discussion. Somebody bringing me water glasses, um, I can't find them on here. But I have a whole. If you go to my Twitter page, it's STL Volunteers, and that's short for obviously St. Louis Volunteers. There's a whole section under the lists. There's a section like you'll pull up my page, you'll see my cool profile picture, and if you scroll down, you'll see like my first 4 or 5 tweets or my most recent 4 or 5 tweets. You keep scrolling down on that page, and you go to lists. There's a view more tweets. There's a thing of pictures. You'll see following, followers, favorites, and lists. If you go to lists, you'll see there's several lists that I don't know. I probably could edit them and go through a little bit more extensively and combine a few and maybe bring a few more in. If you have any suggestions on the lists that I've built, please feel free to, send me an instant Twitter message with your at symbol, whoever you are, to at STL Volunteers. That's who I am. That's who we are. That's who we are. And let me know if you would like to be included in one of these lists. And I guess the purpose of the lists are for, like, I'm trying to remember what I was taught. Oh, the crisis hotlines, or like crisis calls, or volunteer match. Maybe I put them. I guess my lists aren't very clear because I can't even figure out what I was talking. Like, I can't figure out exactly where I wanted to go. The easiest way to navigate the list is after you select on the list itself, you go to the members of that list and you can see who's in that list. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense. They're not my lists. They're okay. My lists are okay. They're not like the best organized lists. I haven't belabored my lists as I could have. So that's pretty cool. I think this was a really good discussion. I can't believe I actually got a participant on the phone. That was a first. Figured out how to use the phone. I was going to try and who else was I going to try to get on here? What was I think? Oh, I did the YMCA. I called the YMCA. Now maybe I should try to call the Boys and Girls Club. That's a separate, right? Or no, I want to. Let's see, I'm going to call the. You know what? We're going to go to Twitter and look up. See if they have any contact information. Can you imagine me doing this for 8 hours? It says before I start the broadcast, like, you can broadcast for up to 8 hours. Not me. An hour and a half is plenty. Contact. Where is? Trying to figure out where they put their phone number, contact information. Oh, that's not good. That lighting's terrible. Holy crap. Giving me all kinds of. That's just sleepy eyes. Contact us. Nope, I can only say they only want to tell me about them. Yeah. Okay. That's a dead end. I would assume the best place to start for checking out. Right now, I'm looking at contact information for the umbrella company of GSalar. It's GSALR.com. Their handle is at GSalar. GSalar, I believe. Yeah. And they are yeah, at GSALR. They are how do I what do I say? They are their handle. I guess they wrote a blog. They blog and they share about garage selling, and it's like a listing. It gives you the tools you need to research sales near you. That's the first line on their page. So that's I'm gonna go with that as their me telling you about them. And if you want to look more into who they are and what they do, go to G Seller on Twitter or go to their page. And I believe that for near us, near this area, if you want to look up garage sales or post garage sales and you need help with a garage sale, I guess the easiest way to do that would be to post your listing for your garage sale on that site. I don't know, free promotion from me. I'm trying to help out, I guess, and I think that everybody has a pro bono. Everybody wants to do something positive for the community. So I'm pretty sure that if you do a little bit of research on their page, you'd be able to find out. Well, how do I donate this stuff that I have? My estate. How do I donate this estate to someone in need? How do I do that? Um, my other thing is, besides doing the G sale, garage sale, um, I'm going to try to build a list for items to be collected for future outings, like future outreaches. I want to do, when I have free time, I know that I have a lot more free time, I think, meaning free time is in like I'm more flexible. I don't have to like cart around 7 kids, or I don't have to cart around, worry about my kid getting sick when we need to go somewhere or something else needs to be done. I don't have that sort of responsibility tying me down. And if I want to go volunteer downtown St. Louis for 3 hours one random day at any random time, I have that freedom to do stuff like that. And I wanted to figure out a way that I could maybe collect items, or not collect is a bad word. Collect is a bad word in my head. Um, I want to say, how could I take and get items that needed to be designated supplies, or food items, that unprepared food, or time. Like these people need help with somebody coming to sort out the donations that they've accumulated. How do I, and me being, like I said, having a little bit more free time and less responsibility sometimes, most times, than other people do. How do I go about finding those sorts of things? As far like other than how do I get people together in my circles and say, hey, do you want to do something for charity? Do you want to give? Do you want to do a weekend uh, where we go shopping? We spend, we get 70, 80, $120 together out of our own pockets and then go do some sort of contribution thing towards like a upkeep, like do we want to go and clean up a shelter? Do we want to go and spend time with people in do we want to spend time with people that are suffering? Do we want to um, give gifts of, like, show our love and support through I keep saying these gifting ideas. I'm trying to bring it more uh, into a tangible, like, let's see, what, like, okay, the pet shelters, what do they need? The pet shelters, they have a list on their site. They need blankets, they need towels, they need cleaning supplies, they need um, the food for their animal, the animals that have been left there. What do women's shelters need? They need uh, clothing. I'm now, this is me once again trying not to let my words slip out too fast. You would have to figure out, like, contact them directly, and hopefully I can, pull that information here soon on what exactly these shelters need. You don't just want to show up like, here's a bag of clothes and drop it off on these people's, the front of their building, or just walk in like, hey, I got this stuff, because it might just go from being junk to you, or these great, this great investment that you made from, this money that you collected or whatever, and you just, drop this stuff off. It might just go right into the trash because you don't know, if you haven't contacted the right people, or um, tried to be more specific with what you are doing and why you're dropping these clothes off and what your cause is and who you are. And I guess I don't want to say warned, but I was, reminded of that when I got an email back from a company. I was not a company; it's an organization. It's a another umbrella organization that I follow on Twitter. They were like, "Well, hey, I'd love to be part of your discussion, but you didn't put enough content on your um, in your email to tell me what you wanted to discuss. So I don't really know how to formulate a discussion or how I'll be answering. Um, I don't know. Hopefully, I'll get that together in the future, and maybe I'll get some better phone numbers and some better ideas on paper before I try to, you know, um, before I try to blame somebody else. That's got to start. I got to blame me first. Like, well, you can't say that nobody participated because nobody knew that you were doing this. Or trying to do this. All right, I'm gonna end this now, and it's gonna go live on YouTube, and I'm gonna send a link to you specifically. Not really, because I don't know who exactly everybody is in my viewing audience. It's the mystery of YouTube. All right. Good night, Southwest Illinois and uh, Greater St. Louis, or St. Lucian, I don't know. Good night. Good night. Good afternoon. Good night. Good morning.